Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the evening session of the City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order, and I'll ask our Deputy City Clerk to call the roll, please. Actually, our full-on City Clerk. What happened? You threw me a curveball here.
I got a demotion. Thank you. Councilmember Kendrick is absent. All others are present.
Would you all then please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
No, sir.
Council? We're at public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, council, authority, and agency members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any cards under public comment?
We do, sir. We have one from Keith Spencer.
Hi, Mr. Spencer. Welcome.
How are you, sir?
Good.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. My name is Keith Spencer. I live over in the Flying Hills area of El Cajon. This is in regards to a claim of denial service from an incident back in June. I apologize for being late, but I spent the last 60 days out in Taiwan, so it's the first City Council meeting I could make it to.
Welcome back.
What happened over in June of the summer, I was pulling up to pick up my grandson over at Flying Hills Elementary. Pulled up, noticed I got an alarm on my car, flat tire. Got out, took some pictures. There was a storm drain that had just been recently replaced. You could tell it was brand new. And the curb was broken apart to pull that grate out, but it was not properly put back in. Took pictures, took video, called city clerk's office, asked what the process was. I sent them pictures, email. They said, thank you very much. Here's your service number here. We're going to send somebody out. Absolutely, there was a problem. We're going to send somebody to fix it, which they have. So I asked what the process was to submit a claim to repair my tire. I went about 5 or 6 weeks, no response after I dropped the paperwork off here at the city clerk's. Finally got in touch with Mr. Dave Richards. He ended up contacting me after a couple of calls to him, and we discussed my letter he sent that basically is very blunt, that says this is notify you that your claim you presented on 5 July was denied. And then the big part, which kind of threw me off, for a $200 tire, in big bold letters warning, you have 6 months if you want to sue the city, basically. I was like, look, I don't want to take my tax money to sue the city. Sure. For $200. I think you have little better things to do. So I discussed to him the process of why my claim was denied on clearly what a contractor, whether it was a subcontractor or a public works center person that done that and did a bad job, was denied. He said, well, we can't pay out every claim. And I said, well, I understand that, especially ones that aren't valid or warranted. And he said to me, the city is not responsible for claims until we know about the issue, and then if we don't take action after we know about the issue, that's when we're liable. And I said, well, that seems kind of strange. I'm the person that reported it, so if I let it go, I mean, how many people are going to keep letting it go and get their tire broke? I sent pictures. I came down. I sent the receipt, all of that. It was $200. Believe me, it's not a big deal to me. I thought it would just be paid. It was something that the city or their subcontractor, Public Works, did. But to get a letter like this and basically, again, I think the city has something better to do than ask me to come sue you in the next 6 months for $200. I'm here to ask you, not for the $200, or I'm asking you to review my claim and to review the policy and review this boilerplate letter that gets sent out. Very impersonal to the city residents. I've been here since '86. I pay those taxes. I would expect that sidewalk and that curb not to have that. And that I drove by it again today. It's still fixed, and you can tell where they knew they messed it up and fixed it. But, you know, that could happen to anybody. That happened to me.
Okay. Believe it or not, in all the years I've been doing this, this is the first time this kind of thing has come up. So I have to ask our city manager, what is the process if they want to appeal that decision?
Well, the appeal is to use the civil courts to appeal that, and we have to include that language because that is what their rights are. So,
Mayor, as a matter of fact, that is pretty much statutory language. We have an obligation to notify a claimant if their claim was denied within a certain period of time. It triggers their obligation to, if they disagree, to file a lawsuit. You can file a small claims case. You don't have to hire a lawyer. You can go through the small claims process. That's just as efficient. And you have a limited amount of time. And that's to protect the city and any public agency, because it used to be that you couldn't sue the cities or governments at all. And then they came up with the claims process that allows you to sue the city for negligence of one of its employees. And there are plenty of defenses that are always available, and our risk manager is very aware of what should go into the claim letter, the denial letter, gives the warning, the proper warning, and while it sounds a little bit offensive, it's exactly what the law requires us to put in the letter.
Graham, do you have any suggestions here?
Legally, I can't offer advice.
Are you willing to meet with this gentleman and see if we can work something out?
Well, I can't work. Well, there's a claim process, and that claim process exists for a purpose and a reason. And the gentleman, the resident, has gone through that claims process. It would be imprudent for me to go outside that claims process.
Okay.
But I would love to meet with the gentleman, so I'll reach out.
I've got a question.
Okay.
I think that would be a good thing. And you know what? I'd also be willing to meet with you and talk with you about it. Like I said, I had not dealt with this kind of thing before, so I probably have no jurisdiction in this. And the attorney's looking at me like, yeah, you can't do anything. But I think what you're saying is eminently reasonable. So get us your number. I want to reach out to you anyway.
Okay. I've left that with the city clerk, so I appreciate your time, and I certainly understand the legal part of it, and that's exactly what Mr. Richards said. I think the review of that, and I guess as lawyers speak, I would hope it would be a little bit more personal of a letter coming back, maybe a why. It was almost like Mr. Richards said, well, we kind of just, flip the coin and we decide which ones we're going to pay and which ones weren't, is how it came across to me.
Let me ask you, is there, staying within the legal framework, counsel, is there a way he can get more of an explanation as to the reasoning behind the decision?
We'd file the lawsuit and conduct discovery.
Oh, no. Okay.
So do you
this
not?
This applies not just for $200 damaged tire. This applies to the $1 million claim because somebody tripped and fell on a sidewalk.
No,
so,
I understand.
And we don't have notice. We don't have a notice of a dangerous condition. The city's obligation, again, we have immunities from prosecution of these claims, but one of the exceptions is if it's a dangerous condition and we had knowledge, and that's exactly what Mr. Richards was explaining in his phone conversation with you. We had no knowledge of a dangerous condition, so therefore the city's not responsible for that. So until we have knowledge, then it creates a responsibility to act, and that's what happened when you submitted the service claim, is as the city acted or had the contractor go back out and repair the street. But to address claims from a public comment perspective every 2 weeks is not going to be a way to run the risk management department here at the city.
I completely understand. Just to shed a little bit of light on this, so imagine there's a sidewalk that has shifted and there's a 2-inch gap now, and we don't know about it. If somebody has tripped on that sidewalk, we have a different amount of liability than we would have if we knew it was there and we didn't do anything about it. I think that's the language that's coming into play here. But still, I'd like to meet with you and talk with you.
Yes, sir.
And,
Understood. And I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much.
and I think Steve wanted to say something. No, we're done? All right. Hey, thanks for coming in. Why were you in
I'm a retired Navy, but I'm a defense contractor now, so I do about 60 to 90 days a year in Taiwan, in Taipei City.
Well, thanks for your service.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Interesting. All right, Angela, any other?
No other cards, sir.
Okay, then. That brings us to public hearings. We have 3 items to consider. Item 100 is an amendment to Specific Plan 452, and I'll ask staff to introduce this item.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Mike Villione, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is a request for an amendment to Specific Plan number 452 to authorize an auto dealership at 1155 Graves Avenue. Specific Plan 452 governs the site, which is at the corner of Graves Avenue and Hart Drive at the city limits. Specific Plan number 452 consolidates the 7 separate assessor parcel numbers which make up the site into a single 4.6 acre unit. It also provides an increased height limit and restricts use of the site to a recreational facility. Family Fun Center and Boomers previously operated at the site pursuant to the specific plan. Multifamily apartments are to the north of the project in the county of San Diego across Hart Drive. A single-family residence is to the east, and commercial uses are to the south, such as Target. The property is designated as a regional commercial by both the general plan and zoning ordinance. The regional commercial zone would permit a car dealership with a conditional use permit, but the applicant proposes instead to amend the existing specific plan to authorize the auto dealership and construct across lot lines as is required by the zoning code. The site plan is shown here. The project proposes nearly 37,000 square foot auto dealership building, which includes sales, service, and parts storage, as well as a 1,200 square foot car wash building to its east. A new 30-foot wide commercial driveway is proposed near the intersection of Graves Avenue and Hart Drive and will function as a nighttime vehicle drop-off location for next-day service as well. The project proposes to preserve the southerly site access, the off-street parking, and landscape areas at the south and east ends of the site, as well as the existing boundary wall. Existing chain link fencing atop the northerly boundary wall is proposed to be improved with slats to improve privacy for the residences across Hart Drive. Landscaping will be required to screen the single-family property to the east. As a part of the proposed project, Graves Avenue will be improved to include extensions to both the existing bicycle lane and two-way left turn lane to the intersection of Graves Avenue and Hart Drive. These improvements are shown in the traffic study. This is the proposed dealership building as it would appear from the Graves Avenue frontage. The structure is 28 feet tall at its highest point and is contemporary in design. The building includes extensive glazing and the Hyundai patterned bronze metal paneling across the parapets. Service and express lube bays aligned with the northerly driveway break up the building mass. It is important to note that the proposed specific plan amendment also includes a number of performance standards to ensure compatibility with adjacent properties. These good neighbor policies restrict all commercial activities to private property, including all parking necessary for the auto dealership. Car wash operations will also be limited to the hours between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and the use of a public address system will be prohibited. All site lighting will be required to be shielded and directed downward, and test drives would be restricted to commercial streets like Graves Avenue as opposed to Hart Drive. On November 1st, the Planning Commission held a duly noticed public hearing on the proposed amendment. The hearing included 3 public speakers, 2 of which were affiliated with the applicant, while the third was in support. The Planning Commission voted 3-0 with 2 commissioners absent to recommend City Council approval. The proposed project is exempt from the environmental review requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15332, the Class 32 exemption for infill development projects. Staff therefore recommend that City Council conduct a public hearing and adopt the next resolutions in order approving the CEQA determination and introduce the ordinance approving the specific plan amendment. This concludes staff's report.
Thanks. Nice report. Council, any questions? All right. Angela, any speaker cards on this one?
We have no cards, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Actually, I need to make a motion to close the public hearing. Second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Well, we've been looking forward to this for quite a while. There was a question I wanted to ask that I didn't ask you. I apologize. Were there any complaints or concerns voiced by the neighborhood?
The one speaker who was in support of the project had questions about parking and commercial operations on the residential street. However, the specific plan, of course, restricts those activities to the commercial streets and private property, and so that seemed to address their
But
concerns.
after noticing this, you didn't get anybody calling in or writing in
No.
complaining? Okay, thank you.
I got a question.
So Steve has a question.
What about a monument sign? I see something here about maximum height of 8 feet, but it doesn't apply with these size limit. What can you tell me about the monument sign?
So the monument sign has locational requirements and size requirements, and realistically, what defines the monument sign is a solid foundation and sort of the wall appearance. What they're proposing is oversized and would need to either be reduced in size to comply with the 48 square feet limit, or perhaps built as a pole sign to gain that additional area necessary to kind of achieve what they want.
And do you know which way it's going?
I haven't spoken to the applicant about their proposed revision.
So we're approving something that kind of is open-ended?
So
In
the
that regard?
specific plan essentially provides for signage in compliance with the underlying sign ordinance, so without any further amendment, provided that any sign in excess of 15 feet in height would be accompanied by a study to show that it won't impact the neighboring properties with shadows and those sorts of things. So if this were any other use, it would be entitled to signage in accordance with the underlying ordinance, and we decided to apply that standard here as well.
But they can apply for a amendment exception, no?
They would be applying for a sign permit.
A sign permit.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, it still needs more clarification on the sign. What's allowed? What can they do?
So essentially, all signs would be in conformance with the code, and there wouldn't be any exceptions. Is the takeaway?
Are they understanding of this?
This has been communicated to the applicant. Yes.
And they're in agreement with this?
We've provided the process and explained it, and they've not objected.
Okay, if there's no objection, I'm just thinking their existing signs over at some of the other dealerships seem to exceed these comments here, and I thought, boy, it'd be nice if they could have the same freedom to have a sign like Toyota of El Cajon that is certainly very tall and freeway friendly and things like that.
Sure, they will be eligible for, and something that's anticipated is a freestanding pole sign as well, and that has, I believe, eligibility to be 65 feet in height with 2 square feet per, essentially, each lineal foot of frontage. So they will have pretty significant signage rights under the ordinance.
Okay, so now we're talking. The pole sign can be a lot higher and freeway friendly and all that kind of stuff.
That's correct.
The monument sign is limited to 48 square feet and 8 feet tall.
That's correct.
That's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Makes sense. Thanks. Nice report. All right, Council, it's us. It seems like we've been waiting for this project for a while. And
Yeah, I
for
think we're
motion.
going from bumper cars to electric cars. And that's an upgrade. And the good neighbor policy seemed like that's a fantastic collaboration between the community and the dealership. So sounds like a great project for everybody.
Yes, Michelle.
So, excuse me. Did anybody talk about security for the property when it came to, when it came to the good neighbor policy?
Do you mind repeating the question?
Was there any talk about security for the property at night?
Not specifically. There are security measures, and I think that's something the applicant could speak to more specifically related to the business operations, right? There are, fencing and deterrents for, vehicle theft in the landscape, but beyond the normal site lighting and those measures, I'm not aware of specific, provisions for security that they might use.
Okay, because I know that neighborhood. I actually used to live on Hart in the early 90s. And so there's been some problems with crime, and I just want to make sure that we put this in here. I'm really excited about them coming in, but I want to make sure we put this in here and that they don't have second thoughts once things start happening.
Michelle, did you want to speak with the applicant?
The applicant's not here, is he?
The applicant is here, and
Oh, it is?
yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Let's go ahead and have the applicant come up then.
I just want to make sure everything is, thank you.
What's the specific question?
So I just want to make sure you guys have, are you taking security measures? Because I know that neighborhood. I know a lot of people that live in that area. There's been some issues with crime. And I want to make sure that you guys are happy that once you go in there, you're not going to have second thoughts and go, oh my gosh, what did I just do?
Yeah, no, great question. We think that's our responsibility, and yes, we will have video cameras with live video monitoring.
I'm
So,
just looking out for you guys.
appreciate it.
Because,
Well,
because
if
I'm a
you want to
neighbor.
kick in for some of the security costs, I would love that.
Pardon me?
Nothing.
No, she's going to take a shift. Chris, she's just going to take a shift,
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays
Volunteering
from
for a shift,
midnight
the
to
12
7.
2 shift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll bring my
So
security
yes,
dog.
we are going to take measures, which we have at our other locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor, could the speaker give his name for
Thank
the
you.
record, please?
Mr. George, could you tell us your name?
I'm sorry, Chris George. Any other questions?
It's right on the
Thank you, Mr.
city
George.
limits, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right on the button. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. You got your questions answered?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure.
Good. Any other questions or concerns? All right. We're looking for a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the next resolution approving the CEQA determination and introduce an ordinance approving specific plan number SP 2022-001, an amendment to specific plan number 452.
All right. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Look forward to seeing the new dealership.
Sir, and the title of the ordinance
Oh,
reads...
pardon me.
It's okay. An ordinance rezoning property located on the west side of North Mollison Avenue. I'm sorry, I'm reading the following. I apologize. An ordinance amending specific plan number 452 to authorize an automobile dealership at 1155 Graves Avenue and the Regional Commercial RC General Plan designation and the CR Regional Commercial Zone, assessor parcel numbers 483-090-1500, 483-090-1600, 483-090-2400, 483-090-2500, 483-090-2600, 483-090-4200, and 483-090-4100.
Okay. Are we out here for 101? All right. Before we start with item 101, I need to recuse myself. My company does business with neighborhood health care, so I'm going to recuse myself, and I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Steve Goebel.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, Neighborhood Healthcare Expansion Project staff, who's going to be introducing this one for us? Mike, again?
Good evening again. Mike Villione, Senior Planner, Community Development Department. The second item this evening is a request for a general plan amendment and zone reclassification at 470 North Mollison Avenue to enable neighborhood health care to convert the existing building to a medical office with interior improvements. No new buildings are proposed with this project. The subject site is at the southwest corner of the intersection of North Mollison and East Madison Avenues and is approximately 1.77 acres in size. The site includes roughly 12,500 square foot building, 121 parking spaces, and has access from both adjacent streets. The site is also open to and shares its parking with 855 East Madison, which is the parcel to the immediate north. 855 East Madison is also owned by Neighborhood Healthcare and is in use as a medical clinic. The general plan land use designation at 470 North Mollison is medium density residential. The site has a corresponding zone of RM 2200, which would permit multifamily residential and limited non-residential uses via conditional use permit. The site was previously used as a church. In 2008, City Council approved specific plan number 513, which provides for 16 parking stalls on the subject property for the existing Neighborhood Healthcare Medical Clinic on East Madison. In 2020, after taking ownership of the property, Neighborhood Healthcare obtained a conditional use permit for a nonprofit service center devoted to assistance programs such as medical enrollment, housing assistance, job counseling and training, among other things. After obtaining the service center CUP, the applicant determined that the use of the site as a medical clinic would best suit their operational needs. A medical clinic, however, is not an allowable use in the RM 2200 zone. Consequently, Neighborhood Healthcare filed an application for general plan amendment and zone reclassification, requesting a general plan land use designation of office non-retail and a corresponding zone of office professional, which permits medical clinics by right. The proposed medical clinic would not require further site development, as it would operate within the existing building, shown here from East Madison, and would not necessitate additional parking or access. The parking demand of the approved social service center and medical clinic are equivalent in the zoning code. Neighborhood Healthcare anticipates offering primary and general health care services, including acupuncture, chiropractic, women's health, and prenatal care during regular business hours. As shown here, the requested general plan amendment and zone reclassification would extend the office non-retail designation and office professional zone from 855 East Madison, the existing Neighborhood Healthcare Clinic. The same designation and zoning are also present to the north side of the intersection of East Madison and North Mollison Avenues. In order to approve a request for general plan amendment, the City Council must make certain findings. To paraphrase, the City Council must find that the City has complied with applicable sections of the California Government Code, that the proposed amendment is in the public interest, and that the amendment is consistent with the rest of the general plan. These findings can be made. On November 15th, Planning Commission held a duly noticed public hearing. 2 speaker cards were submitted, which included a group presentation by the applicant and another unaffiliated individual in support of the item. Planning Commission unanimously recommended City Council approval. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, an initial study evaluated the potential environmental impacts of the proposed project and found that it could not have a significant effect on the environment. Consequently, a negative declaration was prepared. Staff therefore recommend that City Council conduct the public hearing and adopt the next resolutions in order, approving the CEQA negative declaration and the general plan amendment, and introduce the ordinance approving the zone reclassification. This concludes staff's report. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Council, any questions before we open the public hearing? I have one question. Do we have any exposure from state authorities from changing zoning from residential to non-residential use? Any slap on the hands that you know of?
There's a required process that we need to go through, and we've observed here where we essentially do the required environmental analysis to understand what those impacts might be. There are also limits in state law about how many that cap how many times a city can amend its general plan in a given year, and so both of those things are observed with this application. Okay, very good. Very good to know that we're clear on that.
Okay, thank you. With no further questions, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Do we have any speakers, Angela?
We do, sir. We have one, Carl Higgins.
Mr. Higgins,
Deputy
good
Mayor,
evening.
members of the council, my name is Carl Higgins. I'm here representing the applicant. This is Dr. Rakesh Patel, who is the CEO of Neighborhood Healthcare. And also with us tonight is Mr. Mike DeLeon, who's their director of their facilities. We thought the staff report was wonderful. We thought it was fine. We're here to answer any questions that you may have.
I don't have any questions. Council, any questions? I think we're good. So far, so good.
Thank you for bringing and expanding into El Cajon. It's going to bring jobs to our city, and we appreciate that.
Angela, any other speaker cards?
No other cards, sir.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move to close the public hearing. Second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present, except with Mayor Wells disqualified.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, can you put back up, please, the recommendations slide? Okay. Council, any further questions, comments, or does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. Okay, I move that, first of all, thank you very much. Good presentation. I think this is great to bring this in and expand the health care in that area. I'd like to move to adopt the next resolution, approving the negative declaration, to adopt the next resolution, approving general plan amendment number 2021-002, and to introduce the next ordinance approving zone reclassification number 2021-0001.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilwoman Mitchell, seconded by Councilman Ortiz. Please vote.
Okay, motion carries by yes vote of Deputy Mayor Mitchell, Council Members Goebel and Ortiz. Council Member Kendrick is absent, and Mayor Wells is disqualified as the project would provide a source of income. And the title of the ordinance is an ordinance rezoning property located on the west side of North Mollison Avenue between East Madison and East Park Avenues, and addressed as 470 North Mollison from RM 2200, residential multifamily 2,200 square foot to OP office professional zone, APN 488-061-1700, pending general plan designation, office/non-retail ONR.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on to the next item, it's now time for me to play musical chairs and disqualify myself on the next item, item number 3 on tonight's agenda. According to the Fair Political Practices Commission, if I live within 500 feet of the subject property, I must disqualify myself, and that I do, and so that I will.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, Noah. The last public hearing, item 102, is regarding Greenfield Drive in East Main, street-specific plan, and Noah is here to tell us all about that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, Noah Alvey with the Community Development Department. So yes, this is a request to establish a new specific plan in order to regulate future development of a vacant property at the the southwest corner of Greenfield Drive and East Main Street. It's also commonly known as the Kaiser property. The first thing that I want to emphasize in conjunction with this request is that there's no development proposed, and it's really just a regulatory document that we're bringing forward tonight. So here you can see the boundary for the subject site shown in yellow. The overall site's about 25 acres, and it really is the city's largest and last vacant commercial property on a major corridor. The current request was initiated by the City Council in June of 2022, and that was when the Council had asked staff to bring forward a plan to really just look and make sure that there's an orderly development of this important property in the city. So based on the current regulations, the property could be developed without input from the surrounding property owners. So really what the specific plan is proposed to do is to require the preparation of a comprehensive planning document prior to any development on the site. and that would include hearings with the Planning Commission and City Council. So again, no development proposed and no regulations are being changed, so no change in the general plan or zoning, just a requirement to think comprehensively about the overall site. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this on December 6th. The Planning Commission, at the hearing, we had 2 speaker cards that were submitted. One speaker requested that a study be prepared in order to evaluate real estate values. The other speaker just asked questions and didn't express support or otherwise express an opinion. The Planning Commission did vote unanimously to recommend City Council approval. In accordance with the staff recommendation, they did find that the request would ensure compatibility with surrounding properties with the preparation of a comprehensive plan. So the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, and staff's recommendation is to approve the specific plan in order to ensure that this large-scale site is only developed after a comprehensive planning document is prepared, which would then systematically implement the general plan. So that concludes staff's presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Noah. Questions? Yes.
So question, this used to be a hospital. Mm-hmm. Did we not have these exemptions before? Or and I'm ignorant as far as planning goes, sorry. So do we have to redo these CEQA exemptions every time we go to build on this?
Every time there's a planning action that's brought forth in front of the City Council, staff has to look at the Environmental Quality Act. So in conjunction with this action, there's no development that's proposed. So anytime that we bring something forward, we have to look at that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I guess so. It just, what had changed, nothing has changed with the property since El Cajon Valley Hospital was there. So I was just curious as to why we were making other exemptions now. Especially since we're not doing any development.
Certainly. So since it is a new specific plan, we still have to evaluate that through CEQA, but essentially really the goal of this specific plan was, since this is such an important property, to make sure that we are it's not being developed in a haphazard fashion. So we don't have an application come in to develop or build something on the corner without thinking about the entirety of the property, via like access for roads and safety, and as well as getting input from the surrounding property owners. Because under existing regulations, someone could bring forward a building permit application or other application that may not come in front of the council and may not be, the surrounding property owners may not be aware of it. So this document, its sole intention is to require that comprehensive thought to be put into something before it comes back and to ensure that the neighbors are notified.
Michelle, if I might, we're assuming that the property will be developed by Kaiser, but it might not be. Kaiser could sell it. They could sell out parts of it, pieces of it. This ensures that we have thought through that process before we get there.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Gotcha. Phil, anything? Thanks, Noah. Appreciate it. All right. Are there any speaker cards on this item?
We have one, sir, from Skylar Denniston.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Skylar Denniston. I'm the National Director of Land Use and Entitlements for Kaiser Permanente. So thank you for having us here tonight. All I wanted to say is that it's always been our intent to do a comprehensive master plan for this site. And so we are in full support of the specific plan that's proposed here tonight. And I do want to do a personal thank you to both Graham and to Morgan. They made themselves available to answer a few questions that we had about the process. So thank you for making yourselves available, and we are in support of this tonight. And I'm looking forward to, in the future, to bring a comprehensive plan to you to solicit your feedback and feedback from the public as well. And I'm here to take any questions that you may have.
We look forward to seeing the drawings. So, questions, Michelle?
So the proposed is like what, 2020 or 2035? Is that what I heard on the news? recently?
What was in the media? So what we were talking about was actually bringing something towards the city, like a formal application. And again, this is just, we look at our capital plan every few years, so it's still kind of in the ether. But the thinking would be starting that entitlement process around that 2030 timeframe, and then you would have something operational in early to mid 2030. That's what's currently been identified.
Okay. Thank you.
Phil.
Our residents are very excited to see something moving forward anytime sooner. Yeah. I know that's not up to you, but any advocacy you could bring to your national headquarters would be great because it's not only needed in East County, but the surrounding East County as well. I think it would do very well to support the surrounding area to have a hospital in East County.
I'm a land use guy. I wouldn't be harassing these folks too, so I'm making a lot of noise internally for you. I promise.
We'll be the easiest city council you'll get approval for. I can guarantee that.
Down, Roger. Thank you.
I'll put my paycheck on it. It's not much, but yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
No other speakers, sir.
All right, then. I need to make a motion to close the public hearing. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
All right. This seems to be just a housekeeping item. Just looking for a motion at this point.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution approving the California Environmental Quality Act exemption and move to introduce the ordinance approving the repeal of Specific Plan 138 and adopting Specific Plan 2022-004.
Second.
0004, excuse me.
Please vote.
Motion carries by a yes vote from Mayor Wells, Deputy Mayor Metchell, Councilmember Ortiz, Councilmember Kendrick is absent, and Councilmember Goebel is disqualified as he lives within 500 feet of the site. And the title for the ordinance is an ordinance repealing Specific Plan Number 138 and approving Specific Plan Number 2022-0004 for properties at the southwest corner of Greenfield Drive and East Main Street, and the office, professional, OP, and residential single-family 40,000 square feet, RS40 zone, general plan designation, public institution, PI, and open space, OS zone. Assessors parcel numbers 507-200-5800 and 507-320-4800.
Thanks very much. All right, this brings us to adjournment. The adjourned regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, successor agency of the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 13th day of December 2022, is adjourned until Tuesday, January 10th, 2023 at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you very much.